What's going on, guys? In this video we're going over 5 ways that you can change your life today. The goal of this video is that by the end of it you should be able to have some implementable actions you can take so that today is already a better day than yesterday and tomorrow is going to be even better. Now before we get into that, my name's Keefe. I made this channel to help men create their ideal lives through self-mastery. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss tomorrow's video. Now let's get straight into it. Alright, so the first thing I've got down here is to practice mindfulness, or just simply some kind of meditative practice. This has been absolutely instrumental in my success in life, just in changing the way I feel on a daily basis, on being able to think clearly, focus, and just have a positive outlook on life. It's so easy, especially right now if you're in America during the election season and with how crazy things have been. It's really easy to get caught up in negatives and fears and worries. So if you can calm your mind and get under control of your thoughts and refocus your thoughts on the positive parts of your life and the things you're trying to accomplish rather than being frustrated on the stresses of your life, it will have a huge impact on your productivity. Also, just having mindfulness practices reduce stress. Ultimately, all the things that stress you out in your life are things based on thought. There's nothing, if you get completely present to the moment and you quiet your mind, there's nothing to stress you out. So if you can really practice this, you're going to relieve stress, depression, anxiety, all these things. It's a huge thing. I really recommend it. I usually do it first thing in the morning, right after I get out of bed, and it really helps me get my day started on the right foot. Second thing I've got down is that you should determine what area of your life you most want to make a dramatic change on, and then figure out what that change looks like so you can start taking actions on it. So perhaps for you it's money. You're not happy with your financial situation, but you haven't really been making any progress in it. So you would want to ask yourself, what does it look like for this change to occur? What does the change look like? What is the outcome I want to receive? And by asking this question rather than being frustrated on your current situation, you begin to change what your focus is, and then go about just writing down the specifics of what you're looking for. I actually have this printed off in my room with a list on like multiple areas that I'm looking to improve and what it looks like when I see them like at their final destination, essentially. But just really get clear on it. Start writing down all the specifics on it, because once you do this, you can start to align with it. And some questions to ask could be like, we'll use the money example. How much money do you want to make? And how do you want to make the money? And then a good question is why? Because why is an emotional question. So you can say, why is it that I want this amount of money? Why is it that I want to make the money in this way? And perhaps it's so you can have an impact in a certain area, or so that you can take care of your family better, or whatever the case is. Just get clear on that why reason. You could do this for relationships, you could do it for health, you could do it for any real area of your life that you really would like to improve. But once you start to ask these questions, start to get the answers down, and then get emotionally invested in it, you'll find that you'll be able to find some clear paths to get towards it. And it's not going to happen overnight, but you'll start making dramatic progress towards your end goal like automatically, because you'll just be focused on the right thing rather than focusing on what you don't like about your current situation with it. Third thing I got down here is to determine the thing that's holding you back most in life and eliminate it from your life. If you are capable of just being honest with yourself for a second, you would know that thing that really holds you back. If you just literally ask yourself the question, what is it that I do that really just keeps me from the things I want in life? Your mind will give you an answer. It might be porn, it might be video games, it might be you hang out with the wrong people who aren't helping you out and getting you in a positive direction. It could be all sorts of things, but whatever it is, figure it out and then eliminate it from your life. I mean, we hold on to so many things that we should really just let go of so we can allow the good we want into our lives. And oftentimes we do this out of habit perhaps, or we do it because maybe we feel bad about cutting a friend off, or even just with family. It's even harder if you feel like your family's not helping you out in the right direction. It's really hard to cut that off. But just eliminate these things from your life, because ultimately you're the one in control of your life, and you shouldn't allow anything in your life that's really holding you back from the things that you want in your life. And this is just such an easy thing you could do if you literally eliminated, say, video games from your life, because video games are the thing that you just distract yourself with and you don't get productive with. You never go out and talk to anybody and socialize, and you don't build the business you want to build because you're too busy playing video games because they distract you. Then cut it out. And I mean, it's just something you could change today to genuinely get you on the right path, and it's by your own decision, because you can determine for yourself what it is that's really holding you back. Fourth thing I got here is to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Now, if you're waking up at 4 a.m. already or something like that, perhaps this one isn't for you, but most people aren't doing that. And And you'll find that if you can just get up 30 minutes earlier, you can get a significant amount more done in that time. And all hours are not created equal. I used to think back when I woke up at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and stayed up all night, I used to think, well, I'm going to be up for 16 hours, sleeping for 8 either way, so I might as well just stay up all night. But that's just not true. It's actually kind of like scientifically proven at this point. Like certain hours of the day, you're more productive. You're more productive in the morning hours when you wake up. Your testosterone levels are also higher in the morning. I think that has something to do with it. But you're just more focused. You have more willpower in the morning. Also, once the sun goes down, I'm not sure if it's biological or if it's just psychological, something happens to the human. I just noticed this in myself. I noticed this in people that I spend time with. Once the sun goes down, we kind of just switch into this mindset of like, the work's done, like it's done working and it's time to just go do what we want to do. And for the most part, that's how we act. So if you can get up early, beat the sun up, or just get up with the sun, like right now I'm getting up at 5:30 and the sun's starting to rise at that time, you just feel more refreshed and you get a lot more done in those morning hours than you will if you're sleeping until 10, staying up till 2 or something like that. A couple facts on that also, guys, is that if you get up 30 minutes earlier, starting now, you'll have an extra 3.5 hours a week, which is 182 hours per year, which totals out to 7.5 days. So if you get up 30 minutes earlier each day, you add 7.5 days to your year. That's how you add more time. That's how you get ahead in life, by doing the math here and figuring out how can I get an advantage on my competition. And that's how you do it, just by getting up 30 minutes earlier. And that's honestly a pretty easy thing to do. Fifth thing I got down is to rewrite the story that you're telling yourself. Most people are telling themselves a story that they shouldn't be telling themselves. It's a negative story. It's a victim story. They explain the reason why they're not where they want to be based on things from their past that they think they can't control, and it's somebody oppressed them or whatever it is. There's always a victim story involved here, but the thing is, you don't have to listen to that story. I believe it was yesterday's video, actually, I was talking about how the human brain is actually not designed to record specific factual information. It's designed so that you can gather a lesson from a specific event. So the story you're telling yourself about your past is not actually like factually true. It's just an experience that your mind is trying to get you to learn a lesson from. And scientists have proven now that about 50% of your memory is actually faulty anyways. It's not completely accurate. So this is how two people can see the same thing and remember exactly different situations a year later. So the story you're telling yourself isn't necessarily a fact. So you have the power to change the story you're telling yourself. You can tell yourself an empowering story about events from your past, and then you can tell a empowering story about the future you're headed to and focus on that rather than the past. And a good way to think about this is just like notice the stories you're telling yourself about the bad things that happened to you. Start writing down the lessons you might have learned from those bad events, or just start accepting that like bad things happen in life and you're not a victim and your future is within your hands, and start focusing on that story and just stop telling yourself a victim story. I'm telling you, and the funny thing about this is you'll think you've stopped telling yourself a victim story, and then you'll realize later on that you're still telling it. Like, I swore I had gotten all the victim nonsense out of my life like a couple years ago, and then it was only like a month or two ago that I realized I still had a specific aspect of my life I was telling a victim story in. And the funny thing about the victim story is partially it's true. Like, of course, everybody is a victim of something, right? Like a tornado knocks your house down, poor you, you're a victim, right? Like, I mean, it's like, that's life. You can accept that you're a victim, but at the same time, just follow that logic and see where it gets you. Nobody who plays a victim, whether or not they think they have a reason to, ever gets anywhere positive out of life. So just because you think you can make a case that you're a victim doesn't mean you should indulge in that case, because you could also make a case that you're empowered by a situation that's happened to you. Ultimately, guys, with this one, the point I'm trying to make here is that it's your decision, the mindset you're going to take to a situation. You can choose to take the victim route, or you can choose to be empowered by situations and believe in your own free will and your ability to control situations. And it's better to write the story where you have control rather than write the story where you're a victim of circumstances in your life. So really, like, sit down after this video and just write down like the story you want to tell yourself about how you've gotten here. We've all got a story of how we wound up where we're at and how we're headed in a specific direction. And if you've done what I said in number 2, which was determine the aspect you're trying to change in your life, maybe focus on that. So you could say with money, you got, now that you've written down the specific story you're headed towards, the thing that you're the empowering place you want to be, where the thing is, the area of your life is specifically what you want it to be like. You could go back and rewrite the story you're telling yourself, because I guarantee you, if you're not where you want to be in a specific area, you're telling yourself a story that's not very empowering about that area of your life. Because I could think about, for me, when it came to like fitness, for example, which was kind of the first like self-development-ish kind of area of your life that I had figured out, I've always told myself an empowering story about it. I've always told the story about how my parents were very health conscious. They did not let me drink sodas. I was actually vegetarian the first 12 years of my life. So like, I've always been very health conscious, and I always tell the story about how, because of that, I was empowered to be good at fitness and be health conscious when other people weren't. So that's the empowering story I told myself about that, which led to me being focused on my health and having an objective that I believed I could accomplish in fitness, and then I get the body I want. When it came to other areas of my life, like finance and women, I had more work to do because I was telling myself a disempowering story, and I had to rewrite those stories. So think about it like that, and figure out whatever area it is you want to change the most. Go rewrite the story you're telling yourself about it from your past, so that you can change the perspective on it and move forward in a more empowering state. Guys, that's all I got for this video. If you got something out of it, be sure to give me a like. Helps me reach more guys through the algorithm. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss tomorrow's video. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow.